Of note, Trump has also suggested the war is almost over dozens of times, and it's usually followed by threats to attack Iran again. We begin tonight with our bipartisan congressional sources. We have Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. Congressman Khanna, the Houthis now claiming to have attacked these Saudi tankers in the Red Sea. Could this now be a two-front war?
Well, we need to end it. We passed in the House of Representatives a congressional resolution to end the war. The Senate has passed a resolution like that. Food prices are up, gas prices are up, and we saw the ultimate sacrifice of American service members getting killed. This president needs to stop the war, and we need to have a diplomatic solution involving the EU, involving China, just like President Obama did. But we cannot continue. Do
you worry it's expanding here, Congressman Massie? How do you see it?
That's always been a threat. I mean, and I think that's what Israel's wanted. They've tried to expand it to Lebanon, but they're happy to let us now deal with the consequences of an expanding war. That's the first thing that Iran did, is they attacked all of the countries that have our bases within them. And now it's gone to another, tight point in the ocean where it's going to hurt, frankly, farmers in Kentucky. We're seeing fuel prices, we're seeing fertilizer prices go up as a consequence of this. And that's a danger that Trump knew about. I think he was warned before he got into this war.
The IDF has actually been handing off some villages in southern Lebanon to the Lebanese military. We're watching that very carefully to see what continues to happen there. But Congressman Massie, one of your Republican colleagues is now saying that she's prepared to rein in the president's war powers. This was Congresswoman Nancy Mace today.
We need to bring a new war powers resolution up. I was doing the math the other day, and we're at almost 6 months. And just because you stop a war and then restart it a few days later doesn't really mean anything to the Constitution.
So of note, she was not among the 4 House Republicans who crossed party lines last month. She's also not coming back to Congress. You're not coming back to Congress. That makes her somewhat unencumbered by some political considerations for sure here. Are you actually hearing more support for this position? What are you hearing?
I think there is more support. And like Rose said, we've already passed a concurrent resolution in the House and the Senate. The executive branch is breaking the law right now because they're in defiance of that concurrent war powers resolution. They claim that the law that we're asserting is not constitutional, but that's never been established by the Supreme Court. They're also required to come to us after 90 days, and we're well past 90 days. Now, the president's lawyers acknowledge this reality because they pretended to stop the war at the 90-day point and then started again effectively at the 91-day point. It's all a bunch of hocus pocus. They're in violation of the law. They're in violation of the war powers. And I think you will see more Republicans come on board to war powers resolutions if we bring them up again. But frankly, and I'd be happy to vote on one every day, but I don't think we need to. We've already passed a concurrent resolution in the House and the Senate.
You passed one last month. But what ultimately is the real effect of it?
Well, first, if I could just say about Thomas, he was opposed to this war before he lost his seat. We both
the
war powers resolution, point. And it was on that and Epstein. He was literally a profile in courage. I mean, he had $30 million spent against him because he had the guts to say this war was illegal and not in America's interest, because he had the guts to call for the release of the Epstein files. And this president ran on ending foreign wars. Look, just today, we have a resolution to spend $60 billion on this war. Now, Thomas probably would take that $60 billion and pay down the national debt.
Yes.
I would take that $60 billion and give free childcare or free college. But you know what the American people don't want? They don't want the $60 billion going in a war in Iran.
The president said this today, and this is, as we certainly understand in polling, how Americans do feel about this war. They're opposed to it, but this is how the president characterized how they feel about it.
Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
As I mentioned, we know that Americans, 68% of them say the war is not worth it. You have your differences, as you put it, but I wonder what you are hearing, Congressman Massie, from Republicans in your district. Are they saying what President Trump says they are saying?
Well, both sides can be right about this, but we're polling different people. If you poll the American public in general, there's not support for this war. But if you just poll Republican primary voters, there's still 70% support for this war. I polled it 5 times in my own congressional race, and it did. It's part of what cost me an election. It probably cost me at least 10 points on the ballot to be against this war in a Republican primary. So I think the president, maybe his advisors are showing him some kind of primary poll. But here's the reality. We're almost past the primaries. There's 1 or 2 states that still have primaries to go. And after that, the Republican Party is going to be exposed on this issue in the November races.
The war is less popular than other significantly unpopular wars, like Iraq and Afghanistan. I think that might surprise some people. The question is, are people as motivated? Are they paying as much attention to this? And I wonder what you think about that. It seems that perhaps they may not be. Of course, we still have some time before the election.
It doesn't surprise me it's more unpopular because Afghanistan, the initial strikes, of course, were after we were hit on 9/11. And while I opposed the Iraq war, many Americans thought that that was some response to 9/11 in the way that President Bush framed it. Here, American people just voted to end these foreign wars. And there's no reason to be going into Iran. They haven't gotten rid of the enriched uranium. They have the same capability. And the president, ironically, is now giving nuclear energy to Saudi Arabia. So this idea that he wants to try to keep nuclear weapons or nuclear enriched uranium out of the Middle East is just not true.
If I may add one thing, the consequences of this war are very unpopular. $5 a gallon diesel, $4 a gallon gasoline. And in fact, that's evidenced by today, in addition to the $60 million slush fund that's in the Republican budget reconciliation, is a $12 billion bailout for farmers that was necessitated because of this war. The price of fertilizer went up, the price of fuel, and then because of the tariffs, the price of farm equipment went up. So those things that have been caused by the war are unpopular. So when you poll this, people may not be putting both of those things together.
Yeah, farmers are certainly feeling that traffic that is not going through the strait. Congressman, if you could please stick around for me, we have much more to discuss.